My name's Emily Rhodes, I'm 30 years old, and I never thought my own mother would turn the internet against me, with a smile on her face and tears in her eyes. It started like any normal Sunday. I was curled up on my couch, sipping coffee, scrolling through my phone, the kind of lazy morning where the world feels calm for once. Then my phone started vibrating nonstop. Notifications, mentions, tags, all tied to one name. My mom. For a second, I thought something had happened to her. But when I opened Facebook, what I saw didn't make sense. It was a video of her, sitting in our old living room, the same one I grew up in, talking straight into the camera. The caption read, "When your own child breaks your heart, and you still find the strength to forgive." My heart froze. Her voice was soft, fragile, the kind of voice she used when she wanted people to love her. She told this emotional story about a daughter who used her mother, who abandoned her after everything was sacrificed. The comments poured in, "You're such a strong woman. That daughter doesn't deserve you. Praying for your healing. Mama." And right below, my mom had replied with a heart emoji and the words, "Some kids just forget who raised them." My chest tightened. Because the story, every painful, exaggerated detail, was about me. The world saw a heartbroken mother. I saw a performance. I scrolled through hundreds of comments, my name tagged again and again. People I knew, neighbors, old friends, all believing her version. I didn't even have to read between the lines. My mom had made me the villain in her story. For a while, I told myself to stay quiet, to be the bigger person. But silence doesn't protect truth, it protects lies. And when I found the messages, the screenshots, the proof she left out, I knew exactly what I had to do. She wanted a story time, so I gave the internet the full one. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows your birthday, your middle name, and exactly how your mom made you cry the last time you spilled juice on the carpet. My mom, Karen Rhodes, was the kind of woman everyone admired. Strong, organized, charming, the perfect mom people posted about on Facebook. She worked 2 jobs, drove me to soccer practice, baked pies for every school fundraiser, and smiled like she had the world figured out. But behind closed doors, it was different. Karen had a way of making love feel like a test you could fail. Every compliment came with a reminder. I did this for you. Every hug had strings attached. And every mistake, no matter how small, became evidence that you weren't grateful enough. I had a younger brother, Dylan, 27, who somehow became her favorite without even trying. He could do no wrong. He could skip homework, forget to call, or take the last slice of cake, and Mom would defend him with a smile. Me? I had to earn every ounce of approval. When I left for college, I thought distance would make our bond stronger. I called, visited, sent thoughtful gifts, but my independence was taken as betrayal. Karen didn't see a daughter building her life. She saw someone turning her back. Our family dinners were a minefield. Compliments mixed with guilt. "I just wish you appreciated everything I did," she'd say, smiling but with a tone that made your stomach knot. Small comments, comparisons between Dylan and me, reminders that love had conditions. It wasn't overtly cruel, not to anyone else, just to me. Even though it hurt, I never told anyone. I wanted to protect her. I wanted people to see her as she wanted, strong, devoted, unbreakable, but all that carefully curated admiration. It became a weapon the day she went online. Because the same woman who praised me when I succeeded was also the one who could twist the truth, turn my life into a story, and make me the villain, all while keeping her hero image intact. And now, after years of subtle manipulations, the world believed her version of reality, not mine. It all started when my mom launched her Mom's Truths page online. At first, I thought it was sweet, a creative outlet during lockdown, a place for her to share life lessons. I even helped her with ideas, thinking it was harmless. But then one day, she posted something that made my blood run cold. The post was titled, "When Your Own Child Breaks Your Heart." She described a daughter who was selfish, ungrateful, and used her mother for everything she could get. She painted a picture of a girl who abandoned her mother after years of sacrifice, who only thought about herself, who didn't care about anyone but her own comfort. The words were sharp, The tone was bitter. And the details, the small incidents, the phrases, the way she described my college move, the time I skipped a visit because of work, they all matched my life perfectly. I stared at the screen, unable to breathe. My friends had started tagging me in comments, calling me cold, heartless, unloving. Some people even messaged me directly, assuming I'd done something terrible to my own mother. When I confronted her, hoping for an explanation, she smiled through her tears. "It's not about you," she said softly, but the venom in her eyes gave it away. "It's about motherhood. Don't be so self-centered." Then came the photo. A picture of the two of us at last year's birthday party, smiling side by side. She tagged it in her post, giving proof to the internet that the heartless daughter she was talking about was me. And just like that, my life shifted. People I knew, neighbors, coworkers, even distant relatives, all believed the story. I became the villain in my own family's narrative. For days, I considered staying quiet, trying to weather the storm. But each new post, each comment made the lie grow bigger. My mom's story was everywhere. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Each video ended with a soft, teary plea. Some kids just forget who raised them. And suddenly, everyone I knew, the people I trusted, were looking at me with suspicion. They didn't see me as Emily, the daughter who sacrificed sleep, money, and free time to help my mom through hard times. They only saw the villain she described. It was one of the most helpless, suffocating feelings I've ever experienced, until I remembered something she didn't include, the part of the story that would completely change the way the world saw us both, the part she tried to hide. After seeing my mom's story go viral, I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore, not if I wanted anyone to see the truth. But I also knew I couldn't just post a rant or an angry video. I had to be careful. I had to gather my own evidence first. I started by going through old messages, screenshots, and voice notes, everything that showed the real relationship between us. Texts where she apologized for yelling at me, where she admitted she was upset over something trivial. Photos from the night I stayed up holding her hand after she'd fainted from exhaustion. Emails where she thanked me for helping her with bills. Every piece of evidence was a small truth she had left out, twisted or ignored in her story. I made my first post carefully. It was short, emotional, and vague. I didn't name her or call her out. I just shared how it felt to be misunderstood, to be painted as the villain in your own life. The response was complicated. Some friends and followers reached out privately, offering support. Others accused me of attacking my mother, of being ungrateful, of fueling family drama. The same people who had once believed her side now questioned me, but only in whispers. Then came the screenshots. I shared a few private messages where she admitted things she had denied publicly. Small things, not the full story, but enough to make people pause. Some comments changed tone, people tagging their friends. Wait, maybe it wasn't all one-sided. Meanwhile, my mom didn't stop. She posted another video on TikTok, crying about being a heartbroken mother, about how her daughter abandoned her. Every view, every like, every comment on that video pushed me further toward exposing the truth. I felt torn. Part of me wanted to just let her keep the spotlight, to avoid the inevitable confrontation. But another part of me, the part that had spent years protecting her image at the cost of my own peace, wanted the world to see everything I had experienced. And in the back of my mind, I remembered the night that changed everything, the night I saved her life when no one else could. The night she pretended to need help, but it was me who carried her through the worst moments of her life. That truth wasn't online yet. And it would shock everyone. I just needed to be patient, gather it all, and wait for the right moment. Because once the full story came out, nothing would ever be the same. After my first posts and carefully chosen screenshots, the tension exploded. People who had once believed my mom's story began questioning her version. Some friends sent private messages. "Emily, we didn't know, and I'm so sorry everyone believed her side." But even with a few supporters, the majority still treated me with caution. Social media doesn't forgive quickly, especially when a mother is crying on camera. My mom, of course, didn't slow down. She went on a local podcast, sitting in her living room with the same soft lighting, recounting her heartbreaking story in slow, measured sentences. Listeners clutched their hearts over the injustice of it all. Every mention, every like, every share made her story bigger. And with Dylan, my younger brother, publicly siding with her, I felt increasingly isolated. I started receiving DMs from strangers who thought they knew the truth, messages ranging from support to subtle judgment. Some said I was being dramatic. Others shared similar experiences and encouraged me to fight back. But it wasn't just online. At work, at the grocery store, even at my favorite coffee shop, I could feel the stares. People whispered. People questioned me. It was exhausting. And then I remembered the night that had haunted me for years. The night that would become the turning point in this story. My mom had overdosed. I had found her alone in our old kitchen, barely breathing. My brother wasn't home. Friends weren't nearby. I called 911, held her hand, and stayed by her side while the paramedics arrived. Every detail of that night, every text, every voice note, every frantic call, was a truth she had omitted from her Storytime videos. She had painted herself as the victim and me as the heartless daughter who let her fall. The anger inside me grew, but so did the fear. Posting the full story would destroy our family's image. Dylan might hate me forever. But my silence until now had only fed her narrative. It was time to escalate, to make people question everything they thought they knew. I began planning the posts that would reveal the real story, carefully, methodically, without giving away the entire truth just yet. Screenshots, voice notes, and messages would slowly unravel her performance. Every day the suspense built, both online and in real life. My mom's followers were loyal, but cracks were appearing. And with each crack, the world got closer to the truth I had kept hidden for years, the truth that would change everything. I was ready. Not just to defend myself, but to show the world who I really was. The daughter who had saved her mother's life while being painted as the villain. I took a deep breath and knew it was time. There was no turning back. The truth I'd kept buried for years, the part my mom deliberately left out, had to be shared. Not to humiliate her, not out of revenge, but to finally stop being the villain in her story. I started by posting the full thread. Screenshots of messages where she admitted she had manipulated situations to gain sympathy. Voice notes from years ago where she apologized to me for yelling, for guilt-tripping, for lying to protect her own image. And then, the part that no one could ignore, the night she overdosed. I uploaded the photos from the hospital, the records showing I was the one who saved her life. I shared the frantic texts I sent to paramedics, the voicemail where I begged for help, the notes I left on her bedside table when I stayed awake through the night holding her hand. Every detail proved that the heartless daughter she portrayed me as was the exact opposite. The response was instantaneous. Comments poured in, shock, disbelief, empathy. People were rereading her posts in light of the evidence I shared. The same strangers who had called me cruel now apologized, some publicly, for believing a single narrative. The pendulum had swung, but it hadn't ended there. Then my phone rang. Her name flashed on the screen. I hesitated. I wanted her to feel the weight of what she had done, but I also wanted to hear her reaction firsthand. I answered, "Emily, please," her voice cracked. "Please take it down. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just wanted people to understand my pain." My hands shook. "Mom," I whispered, my voice trembling, "you told the world I abandoned you. You painted me as the villain when I was the one holding you up. Do you understand what that feels like?" There was silence on the line, just the faint sound of her sobbing. She started, voice breaking. "I didn't think anyone would see it that way." I couldn't stop the tears. "You wanted a story, Mom. The internet loved it. But the world deserves the truth. And now they have it. We stayed on the line for a long time. No yelling, no accusations. Just the quiet reality of everything we'd lived through. The betrayal, the fear, the long years of manipulation, and the one night that should have been a turning point but became the foundation for her narrative." By the time I hung up, the posts had gone viral. News outlets were covering the story. Social media influencers were discussing the manipulation of family narratives. Friends, coworkers, strangers, everyone was weighing the truth against her performance. For the first time, I felt a weight lift off my chest. I hadn't just defended myself. I had reclaimed my story. And even though I knew our relationship would never be the same, I also knew that the world now saw me as who I really was. Not a villain, not a heartless daughter, but the daughter who had saved her mother when no one else could. And in that moment, I realized Truth is a weapon, but it's also the only thing that can set you free. After posting the full truth, everything changed, and not always in ways I expected. My mom disappeared offline. Her social media accounts were deleted. Her phone went silent, and for the first time in years, the carefully curated, perfect mom image she had built completely vanished. Dylan, my younger brother, didn't speak to me for weeks. He was caught between loyalty to our mother and the undeniable evidence I had shared. When he finally messaged, his words were hesitant. I didn't know. I didn't see it before. I'm sorry. I didn't reply immediately. I needed time to process the mix of relief, guilt, and lingering hurt that still wrapped around me like a heavy blanket. Friends and coworkers reached out with messages of support. Strangers shared stories of their own mothers, their own lies, and how social media had painted them in the wrong light. I realized I wasn't alone, and that the internet, for all its cruelty, could also be a place for justice. But it wasn't all applause. Some people judged me for exposing my mom publicly. Family issues should stay private, they said. Others questioned if I had betrayed the last shred of trust. And part of me knew they were right. Posting the truth had consequences, messy, emotional, and irreversible. Still, for the first time in years, I felt a sense of peace. The fear of being misunderstood, of being branded a villain, finally loosened its grip. I could sleep at night without imagining the whispers behind my back or the sideways glances of neighbors who believed only one side of the story. I thought back to my childhood, to the small moments that now carried more weight than any story my mom could tell. The nights I stayed awake when she was sick. The lunches I packed for her when she had no energy. The times I forgave her for being unfair because I loved her. All of those acts had been invisible in the public eye, but now they were part of the truth that everyone could see. Most importantly, I realized that standing up for myself didn't make me heartless. It made me human. And while my relationship with my mom remains complicated, maybe forever, I finally understand something essential. Protecting a lie never protects anyone. Truth does, even when it's messy, even when it hurts, even when it changes everything. The world had seen the story she wanted to tell. But now, for the first time, they saw mine. Sitting here now, weeks after everything went viral, I'm finally able to breathe without the weight of lies pressing on my chest. I scroll through social media cautiously, reading comments, hearing stories from strangers who have lived similar experiences, and realizing one thing: the truth matters more than appearances. People online only saw what my mom posted, the carefully edited version of our lives that painted her as the victim and me as the villain. But real life isn't a Storytime video. Real life is messy. It's full of pain, forgiveness, mistakes, and moments of courage no one will ever capture in a clip. I learned that silence, no matter how graceful, doesn't always protect peace. Sometimes it protects lies, and when those lies grow, they can suffocate you, twist your life, and make the world believe a story that isn't yours. Sharing the truth didn't fix everything. My mom and I aren't okay. Our relationship is fractured, and I don't know if it will ever fully heal. Dylan is still cautious, still trying to find his place between loyalty and reality. But what I gained is something I've wanted my entire life: recognition of who I really am. Not the villain she made me out to be, but the daughter who loved, who saved, who survived, and who finally let the world see it. I don't know if my mom will ever tell her side honestly, or if she will continue to hide behind performances. And that's okay. I can't control her actions. I can only control mine. If there's one thing I want people to take away from my story, it's this: the truth is not always easy, and it's not always neat. But it is always worth telling. Protecting the truth is not betrayal. It's survival. It's courage. It's freedom. So now, as I close my laptop and sip my coffee in quiet, I feel a strange mix of grief and relief. I mourn the mother I wished I had, but I also celebrate the daughter I became, the daughter who refused to be silenced, even when the world was watching, even when the world thought she was the villain. And maybe someday that's enough.